recounted were true, which happens when you tell a story about yourself so often the words are memorized. Because what Miss Crespo had heard that mid-July evening wasn't a kitten mewing, but a young boy groaning behind a clump of laurel bushes, where not 20 minutes before he had been raped by a man who had also tried to choke him to death. In her police report, part of which was published in the Post, Miss Crespo said she had seen nothing unusual at the mall that afternoon. To her knowledge, none of the other store owners had seen anything unusual either. Most of them reported serving regular customers that day. However, an elderly woman walking her dog on Ridge Road near the big brick U.S. Defense facility did testify to seeing a boy talking to a man in a car just before 5 o'clock. The man, she thought, was balding, but she couldn't recall the color or make of the car. A bag boy at the Safeway, who was breaking down cardboard boxes outside by the dumpster, heard a car skid out of the parking lot around 5:30 and looked up to see the taillights of a brown coupe, possibly a Dodge, or so he thought when presented with drawings of different car silhouettes. Neither the florist nor anyone else saw a man with a boy, and no one had seen anyone on the hillside that day. It was Thursday, the 20th of July. The child's name was Boyd Arthur Ellison. He had just turned 12 years old. He couldn't help the police by describing his attacker, because by the time he was found very early the next morning, his attacker had come back and finished what he'd started. As the Post's reporter later reconstructed events, the man who killed Boyd Ellison had seen the florist when she came out to her car with a box of flowers. Ducking and scrambling, he fled to a bushy stand of white pine farther behind the mall. From a distance, he must have watched her place the box on the back seat, watched her stiffen as she heard a noise. He must have watched her back away from the car, shade her eyes, and look up the hill, then make her slow way over the curb and up through the creeper, her broad face perspiring in the late afternoon sunlight as she paused to listen again. She had run her nylon stockings in her search. She kept them to show the police. He must have seen her bend down with an irritated exclamation and lift her skirt hem to look at the pale ladder widening on her calf. According to the police report, she had stepped within 5 yards of the boy. If she had turned slightly left, if she had looked carefully, she might have seen one of his bare shins, his foot in a white gym sock, half buried in leaves. But Miss Crespo was nearsighted. One of her small vanities was to avoid wearing her glasses in public. Even if she had turned left, even if she had looked, she might still have missed seeing the boy's bruised leg. What she shouldn't have missed seeing, although perhaps she never brought herself to admit it to the police, was a boy's black basketball sneaker, unlaced, which had tumbled down the hill and lay in the gutter under the curb, only a few inches from the front tires of her car. At the inquest, Boyd's parents, Walter and Sylvia Ellison, both testified that the morning of their son's death imitated every summer morning of his life. His mother woke him at 7 so that he could have breakfast with his father before Walter left for work at 8. According to what I remember, it was a bright, hot morning. According to what I imagine, the family had breakfast on their screened porch, as most of our neighbors like to do in the summer. Like most fathers, Walter Ellison would have skimmed the newspaper while he ate his grapefruit. Boyd drank a glass of orange juice, ate an English muffin with raspberry jam and a soft-boiled egg from a china egg cup, designed to look like a chick with an eggshell on its head. While he waited for his egg, he told his father about the book he was reading, The Call of the Wild, which my brother had read the summer before. Walter finished his toast, drank a glass of milk, kissed Boyd goodbye, and told his wife he would be home at the usual time. Then he kissed her goodbye, too, and left for work. At 6:15, just as he was about to leave his office at the Federal Reserve, Walter Ellison got a call from his wife saying that she couldn't find Boyd. He hadn't come home.